Ple/plen comes from a Latin word meaning to fill. It can be seen in the words plenty, meaning basically filled, and complete, meaning thoroughly filled. Plenary, 1. Including all who have a right to attend. 2. Complete in all ways. For the convention's plenary session, 5,000 members gathered to hear a star speaker. Plenary often shows up in writing referring to the plenary power held by a government, and is particularly used for powers mentioned in a constitution. For example, under the U.S. Constitution, the Congress has plenary power to wage war, which means that no one else, not the courts, not the states, not the president, has any power whatsoever to second-guess Congress about war-making. But in recent years, that hasn't stopped some presidents from starting conflicts that looked a lot like wars to most people. At a conference, the plenary sessions, unlike the various smaller presentations, workshops, forums, and seminars that otherwise fill the day, try to bring everyone together in the same room. Complement, 1. Something that fills up or makes perfect, the amount needed to make something complete. 2. A counterpart. On the committee, the two young people provided an energetic complement to the older members. A complement fills out or balances something. We think of salt as the complement of pepper, maybe mostly because of their colors, and the right necktie is a perfect complement to a good suit. Complement can also mean the full quantity, number, or amount. Thus, a ship's complement of officers and crew is the whole force necessary for full operation. Complement is actually most common as a verb. We may say, for example, that a bright blue scarf complements a cream-colored outfit beautifully. Don't confuse compliment with compliment, which means an expression of respect or affection. Deplete, to reduce in amount by using up. Years of farming on the same small plot of land had left the soil depleted of minerals. The de prefix often means do the opposite of, so deplete means the opposite of fill. Thus, for example, a kitchen's food supplies can be rapidly depleted by hungry teenagers. But deplete often suggests something more serious. Desertions can deplete an army, layoffs can deplete an office staff, and too much time in bed can rapidly deplete your muscular strength. Replete, fully or abundantly filled or supplied. The professor's autobiography was replete with scandalous anecdotes about campus life in the 1950s. Replete implies that something is filled almost to capacity. Autumn landscapes in New England are replete with colorful foliage. Supermarket tabloids are always replete with details of stars' lives, whether real or imaginary. And a professor may complain that most of the papers she received were replete with errors in grammar and punctuation. Meter/meter comes to us from Greek by way of Latin. In both languages it refers to measure. A thermometer measures heat, a perimeter is the measure around something, and things that are isometric are equal in measure. Metric, 1. Relating to or based on the metric system. 2. Relating to or arranged in meter. Americans have resisted using the metric system for years, but are now slowly getting accustomed to a few of the metric units. The metric system was invented in France in the years following the French Revolution, and a version of it is now used in most of the world to measure distance, weight, and volume. Basic metric units include the kilogram, the basic unit of weight, the liter, the basic unit of volume, and of course the meter, the basic unit of length, see below. Metric, or more often metrical, can also refer to the basic underlying rhythm of songs and poetry. So while the scientists' measurements are usually metric, the poets are usually metrical. Meter, 1. The basic metric unit of length, equal to about 39.37 inches. 2. A systematic rhythm in poetry or music. The basic meter of the piece was 3 out of 4, but its rhythms were so complicated that the 3 out of 4 was sometimes hard to hear. Meter is a metric measurement slightly longer than a yard, thus, a 100-meter dash might take you a second longer than a 100-yard dash. But the word has a different sense in music, where people aren't separated by whether they use the metric system. For a musician, the meter is the regular background rhythm, expressed by the time signature written at the beginning of a piece or section, 2 out of 2, 2 out of 4, 3 out of 8, 4/4, 6 out of 8, etc. Within a meter, you can create rhythms that range from the simple to the complex. So, for example, America the Beautiful is in 4/4 meter, or 4/4 time, but so are most of the rhythmically complex songs written by Paul Simon, Burt Bacharach, or Stevie Wonder. In ordinary conversation, though, most people use rhythm to include meter and everything that's built on top of it. In poetry, meter has much the same meaning. However, poetic meters aren't named with numbers but instead with traditional Greek and Latin terms such as iambic and dactylic. Odometer, an instrument used to measure distance traveled. Jennifer watched the odometer to see how far she would have to drive to her new job. Odometer includes the root from the Greek word hodos, meaning road or trip. An odometer shares space on your dashboard with a speedometer, a tachometer, and maybe a trip meter. The odometer is what crooked car salesmen tamper with when they want to reduce the mileage a car registers as having traveled. One of life's little pleasures is watching the odometer as all the numbers change at the same time.